Good morning. Season 9, Episode 9, number 357. It would have been more fun to say Season 9, Episode 9, number 359. But it is not to be today. I guess I can do whatever I want. So I could have said that.
I like the 357 though. We have a nice sequence there of odd numbers.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I could have
Yeah.
also.
Imagine when we get to the 1357.
That'd be cool.
Damn. That's 20 years from now based on our numbers there.
But yeah, based on our numbers. Yeah, we can easily figure out when that would be.
Yeah.
Because we're so predictable. But
can you imagine how broke down 20 years from now if we're still doing this podcast? I won't have 20 years. Is there anyone right now that's in their 90s doing a podcast?
That's a great question. I
don't
don't
know. Would you ever listen to someone that's in their 90s doing a podcast?
I will listen to any podcast that catches my attention.
True.
I've listened to some podcasts where there's no way in H-E-double-L-L. H-E-double-L-L.
Yeah.
H-E-double.
And that's like hell.
I've stumbled across podcast episodes that in a million years you wouldn't think I'd listen to, but something got me.
Yep.
Something got me and it worked. I was just thinking, well, I mean, we create our own reality. I could have easily just gone from 356 and called it 359. I don't have to. No
one's telling us differently.
No one's telling me I have to keep going in order.
That's true. I love that. I said something. I love that. Yesterday we're driving home, me and the kids from school, and I have a glitch moment where I'm making a right-hand turn. Someone's making it's a four-way stop. So I'm making the right-hand turn. Someone's making the left-hand turn, and like driver's passing driver, And I look over, and this person's face is painted all like orange and purple, and their hair is all standing up. And my brain, when I saw it, says to, my conscious part, oh, isn't that interesting? Someone's painting their face. And then my brain goes, people should do that all the time. And then somewhere underneath it, another part of my brain that's sitting there like, you're an effing idiot. It's Halloween. I didn't start with the assumption that it was Halloween. I started from the assumption like, this should just be reality. People, why do you have to wait for, I was like, this is cool. Random day, person has their face painted. It's like, no, dude, it's Halloween. So I like this kind of like create your reality. My brain created a reality that it was just a Friday, and this person driving past decided to put orange and purple makeup all over their face. It's awesome.
I mean, you see that and you're like, why isn't this happening all the time? And I'm thinking, why do I need to call today 357? Why can't I just call it 359? It has, in this case, it has nothing to do with math. It has to do with the words and how they sound to me and how they work with my brain.
Okay, so let's do this in a different way then. You say, why can't? Like you're sort of like, somehow. Let's do it a different way. Why do you? Why do you maintain the order?
Because there's also something satisfying about that. It'll wreck my collection because you heard me say my collection, right? Because I quoted podcast as one of my collections.
No, I get it.
It'll mess with my collection, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So numerically, mathematically, I'd like it to continue to make sense, but that may change. This conversation could be the beginning of something new where the collection is unaffected, generally speaking. Like, well, big deal. If somebody wants to count them, they'll count them like, yo, there's only 357, but you said that it was 359. I'm like, it's called 359. I never said it was number 359. That's what I called it. Today, the title is Season 9, Episode 9, 357. That's its name, and it makes sense mathematically. but it doesn't have to make sense mathematically. I can just change its name. Depends on my perspective that day. What I would love to call it today is season 9, episode 9, 359. That's a great name. It's like a Seinfeld thing. It doesn't mean that that's where it lands in the order of podcasts that we've done.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to. So I think I am getting a little cheekier as I get older. I'm connecting my age with my attitude. I wish it wasn't always like that for me, but I feel like I seek regimentation. I like it, but at the same time, sometimes I feel like I want to step away from it. Anyway,
ADHD does that to me.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's like it's like that's like my that's like a Tuesday for me. Like
That's
where
like a Tuesday.
something in my brain kind of goes, here, do it this way. And then all of a sudden 4 hours later, I'm like, where the F did I put my keys?
Gotcha.
That's the cost. That is the cost of when I am and trying to do the defragmentation. Remember we used to do that with our hard drives?
Yeah.
Would you like to defragment,
Defrag the hard drive.
defrag the hard drive? I'm constantly in the add frag to my hard drive. And then, I'm walking around the house. I'm like, yeah, I know I put my phone down somewhere. And so I can ping it from my watch and I can hear it in the fridge because I decided to just put it on the shelf while I was sort of deciding, do I want ham, cheese, and tomato? I'm like, I don't have all the hands. I'm like, this is a good place to put down my phone. And ADHD is like, go make the sandwich. And ADHD also goes, and we'll remind you later when you're really, really worried about it that your phone is somewhere in the kitchen, but you don't know quite where. Yeah.
Good morning, Gary.
Hmm. Good morning, Gary. Good morning,
Good morning,
Michelle.
Michelle. So, bro, there's too much happening here.
Okay.
There's too much happening. Um,
Breathe. Do you want to breathe together?
so we, no, it's okay.
Michelle, Gary, let's do some square breathing. Gary might need to do some breathing. Gary's,
I think Gary's breathing.
Gary's in the thick of it. He's in the thick of it. This is Novembers are busy. Novembers are busy for administrators. They're busy. Every month's busy, right? But
Well, I talked to Gary last night, and Gary could use some square breathing.
is Gary high school? Is it high school?
Gary secondary, yeah.
There we go. So Gary's secondary. So here's some things I know that all administrators right now are probably in the thick of OSSLT planning, probably.
Gary used to do
Tracking.
that as student success head.
Funny thing, well, I don't know we no longer have, so the OSSLT, specifically the literacy side, there used to be sections. We used to have teachers that did that. We used to have a literacy teacher that
Oh,
would do the mapping, the planning, the whatever. So you as the administrator, of course, if it's in your portfolio, who knows, maybe OSSLT is not in Gary's portfolio
but he
because
knows.
he knows it for sure.
Saying, yeah.
The irony, this is the things I've noticed, is just because you're actually good at it, it might not actually be in your portfolio. And you might be supporting the other administrator if there's two VPs, who knows? So it's the gravity of that, the magic, the physics doesn't necessarily match up. But I would probably say that if you do have it as a specific skill set, it would be wise for within the admin team to say, okay, you take OSSLT. What else pops up this time of year? The big pieces. Well, there might be a Remembrance Day event that needs to be mapped out. Sometimes that can be a thing. I know for some high schools, behaviors start to spike in November a little bit. That's that long stretch to December. So it's busy times. Square breathing. I imagine every educator has something. But me living with an administrator, I've noticed, and we've been doing this pod long enough. We've met enough people that we don't get the luxury of believing that the only people that are the professionals in our world are the teachers. Everyone's got their thing around this time of year, whether you're the caretakers now are, making sure the heating's on and that they're getting those splashy snow carpets out and getting the final landscaping shit done. Lots of stuff. IP season, multi-language learner season, getting those sort of like kiddos ready. There we go. The season.
Bro, I haven't written anything down for this podcast in a dog's age, but I had to write a couple of things because there's some things I want to talk about, and I know that
And
there's
I wouldn't stop talking, so that's
no,
good.
no, it
I
has nothing to do
appreciate
with
you.
you.
Okay,
It just there are some things that
do
I've
it.
I've been reminded of in our back and forth that I would like to address.
Hmm.
Um, oh, F. I was about to swear on the podcast. I never do that, do I?
Mm,
That's a joke. I swear here
I
sometimes.
I
Oh,
do. Yeah, I do.
okay.
I know that. I'm not tracking it though. I'm not tracking it.
Gary and the student, I wrote down.
You're in the studio. Okay.
And the student. So I'm teaching an online class, and I've been going back and forth with a few of my students who are struggling to understand why their current mark in the course is what it is.
Hmm.
So how it goes is, I've politely told my class about 1,000 times that by this day I need all this stuff done because I'm going to be giving you your mark for the unit, right? And then I give the mark and they're like, "Oh my god, why is my mark so low?" I'm like, "Well, you didn't do the work." "Well, I didn't know I had to do the work." "Yeah, you did because I posted it in the classroom 3 times and I've announced it twice in my video announcements that I do." So that's a total of 5 times in the last, 3 weeks that I've told you, "This is coming. Do what you can to get your work done. If you can't get your work done, reach out to me. This is coming. It's coming. I have to do it. It's part of my job." "Oh, why is my mark so low, Mr. C?" Okay. So I was going back and forth with a particular student this week, and I noticed she goes to Gary's school. So, and I'm just like, and this student's kind of losing it. As far as you can, my interpretation over email is that they're losing it. And I'm like, square breathing, you're going to be fine. I'm not that much of a jerk that it's like a hard line, you can't fix this. I'm just telling
Hmm.
you that there are some hard lines where I submit marks and comments to the office and then you're screwed because those are not getting changed. That's going to live on a piece of paper somewhere because you're not doing your job and you're not seeking any support or assistance, or you're not doing your part. So tough luck kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I feel good saying that because I purposely build in all these check-ins and I build everything in so that I discipline equals freedom. I can put my hands up and say, I'm free of this. I've done my part. I've done more than my part. You've chosen not to do yours. So
Hmm.
that's yours, not mine. Anyway, all this to say, I was this close to in one of my emails saying, "Hey, you go to so and so school, right?" "Yeah, Mr. C." "How would you like to get 3 to 5 bonus percentages for the project I'm about to give you?" Which I'm sure they would be like, "Yeah, yeah, what do I need to do?" And it's like, "I need you to find Mr. Kraling, and I need you to be so charismatic with Mr. Kraling that he sends me an email telling me he met one of the students in my e-learning class. Like this project. Like, if you're not going to do the work, then go find your VP so that you know who your VP is. Number one. Number two, get your VP to make the connection with me that you went to see him to introduce yourself. Da 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 da. It gets back. I was just feeling cheeky, and I'm like, you can get 3 extra% easily. You just got to go on this Where's Waldo Gary hunt. And if you can find Gary and you can talk to Gary as Gary's doing his VP job, then I'm in. We can have some fun. But I decided not to do that at the moment. Maybe I'll do that later. I've got to connect it somehow to something in school, or I'm just giving away marks, and I don't think that's appropriate. So Gary and the student, Clough and James Clear. So Chris and I were talking this morning about, atomic habits and just our fluencies and efficiencies at work.
Hmm.
And I loved how you're flexing on James Clear's atomic habits. I know there's Chris meeting James. Actually, James is meeting Chris.
Hmm. It's a great meeting.
And I love how what I want to do now is when I refer to when I refer to the 2 minute 2 to 10 minute flex that you're
Mhm.
taking, I don't want to refer to James Clear. I want to refer to you. So, oh yeah, it's the Clough method of efficiency, and they're like, "Who's Clough?" I'm like, "He's a buddy who read James Clear's Atomic Habits." And they might say, "Why aren't you referencing James Clear?" Well, because I'm not following his rule. I'm following Clough's rule.
The cholesterol. I like that.
So I want to
I
have
like.
some fun with that. Clough's flex on James Clear's 2 minute rule.
Mhm.
No, no, it's 2 to 10. 2 to 10 works better. Who's got just 2 minutes? But people have 2 to 10. So I thought that was funny. And then I decide, well, I know you're connected. So you decided, hey, James, you want to meet my friend Roland? James is like,
Mhm.
yeah, let's do it. So here we have the three of us meeting.
Nice. I
And
remember this
you
from
kind of look
just
like
like
Simon
3 or
Sinek
4
here.
seconds. I do. I
Yeah.
do. That's that I know it's funny. I know the pic that you've pulled that from.
Hmm.
It's I used it for I think an audition headshot
Hmm.
a little bit. Both of our beards look very like that's like we're hitting the right barbershop. I like it.
um, I like what they did with my head here. They squished the sides of my head and made
Yeah,
my cheeks more chipmunky. That's kind
it's
of
tightened up. I keep looking at James's fingers. I want to count them to make sure that the image didn't hallucinate because sometimes that can happen, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They're all there. But for some reason, there's something about that image that makes it look not real, but I think it is.
It reminds me of recently when I was playing with Sora. I had me
Hmm.
getting into the DeLorean to go back in time, and
Hmm.
when I was getting in, my legs were doing something that physics would say legs don't normally do unless they're broken or
Hmm.
dislodged or whatever. So I thought that was interesting. Um, okay, so and then the last thing I wanted to just kind of mention the other day when we were at our book club meeting,
Hmm.
"The Man, the Moment Demands" by Jason
And I
Williams.
apologize. I didn't comment back on your comments, but I thought it was a solid meeting. Just I meant it was one of those that got on the list. I wanted because you had sent me the message saying that you thought it was a solid meeting. I take that as just information sometimes, like you sharing. But I feel compelled as a collaborator to also say I think there's an important check back on that. So I should have said to you I totally agree, and then added to it like this is why I thought it was as well. I think that's just a good way to collaborate. I let it fall off my plate. So I think it was a great meeting. There was some really um I think there was some good stuff shared. I think it was a good launch. We had enough people doing some positive risk and talking. So I dug it.
Thanks for thanks for letting me know what you just let me know, which your ADHD probably got in the way of you not letting me know. And
Probably.
now I know when you say stuff like this, I just imagine you in the kitchen. The phone is in the friggin' fridge. You're unsure if you want tomato on your sandwich or not. And Hazel's in your face like, "Dad, what are you doing?" So
Yep.
anyway, um, there goes my ADHD too. I don't think I have ADHD. Apparently I'm autistic, but that's a whole other thing. Okay, so the man the moment demands. Gary's probably going to be joining us on Monday. You're welcome anytime, Gary. Um, it re- our chat, our chat, uh, I felt was a great chat. And when we were talking about social media, and I was joking about the use of Twitter or something, and Jonathan So made a comment that he was off a lot of platforms, that he had just
Mhm.
shut it off and walked away. Man, it reminded me today. I was reminded this week is the 50th anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald sinking, and it reminded me of a collaboration that I did with Peter Cameron, who is a
Oh,
Ontario educator up north in Thunder Bay.
Peter Cameron.
Peter Cameron, yeah, I thought for sure when I dropped that name that you'd be like, trip down memory lane.
Well, that
Well,
was Mad I from Mad PD.
Mad TV is what I wanted
Not
to
Mad TV,
say. Mad
Mad
TV,
PD.
yeah.
Yeah, make a difference professional development.
Yes.
Which is really fascinating. There's not much that I think about from those days as useful because we're going back, like you said, a decade, and this is back when we were all up in the influencer thought leader kind of spaces. All these people that we were connected with: Peter Cameron, Derek Rodenizer, Noah Daniel, like these people, Sarah Lalonde,
Lalonde, yeah.
right? The early days of potting, you and I were doing our own things. This is before, yeah. So before this show started, right? Um, but the thing that I do believe that could reemerge was their Mad PD. That sort of that thing where you got teachers from all over Ontario to do a digital conference and present at this digital conference. It could totally relight. It was solid. So Peter Cameron, good on. Yeah.
So I was just thinking, so Peter Cameron, him and I did a really cool collaboration, um, connected to the Edmund Fitzgerald song and a book that he was reading to his class that I ended up reading to my class, and he was in junior, I was in primary, and it was I got a warm feeling. I was like, I got a warm feeling of making a difference as an educator,
Mhm.
using tools, tech tools to benefit student understanding, student learning. Yeah, it was a nice feeling. Which so all of that was like, if you could, those commercials where they say to you, like, you see the camera and it goes into the person's eye and then you can see into their brain and it's a mile a minute of things. That's kind of how I felt when I was thinking of when Jonathan talked about walking away from the platforms. But I was reminded of the early days, the early good days, where I was collaborating with people like Peter Cameron. And there's a high school teacher down the street, um, Claire Godkin. She's at the school where my kid goes to, and her and I did some collaboration with her senior high school students and my primary elementary students. Man, those were some good learning days for me and for my kids. Those were some solid There was some solid pedagogy going on there. There was wicked professional development. I just going down that road. I wanted to shout out Peter Cameron because I haven't talked to him in a long time because we're not connected really in the socials I'm using now. I don't see him. So um, just these great connections, all because of this technology. All because of this technology, having the video and the audio in real time, being able to enter other people's classrooms and spaces. Just like I was at the rink a week ago in Cambridge, and there were two or three older kids kind of messing around at the rink, hanging around, and one of them stops and looks at me, goes, "You Mr. C?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Have you worked with Mr. Roque?" I'm like, "Yeah, we've done some digital stuff." He goes, "I was in one of those classes. I was in one of those classes when we were working with your class." I was like, "Amazing. What's your name?" He tells me his name. I'm like, "Yeah, I remember your name. I remember Mr. Roque mentioning you a couple of times here and there, just about you were like interested in these things. You were a little bit of a go-getter." So here we are. I love when this happens. The other dads are looking at me like, "How do you know this kid?" I'm like, "Do you really want to know? Because it's going to blow your mind what two teachers are willing to do to benefit their students' learning, right? Because they just think kids go to school, they sit in a room all day, it's boring, they do some math, and they go home. I'm like, that wasn't what me and Mr. Roque were doing. It wasn't boring. The kids were engaged, as far as we
Mm.
could tell. So that happened, and it was just like all because of this. I never have been in Carlos's classroom, like live. That's not true. When I was re-engagement, I was, but before that, it was like it was this, right? Man, so much good. And then the last thing I want to say about this, my heart usually does not warm itself when I'm at work. Like it is how I operate. But the other day, I was in guidance doing a senior caseload meeting when one of the other guidance counselors comes up to me and she goes, "Yo, I didn't know you were in here." I'm like, "I'm here, caseload." They go, "Oh my God, I have a message for you from a former student." I'm like, "Okay, what's the message?" She goes, "Yesterday at the university fair, there was a rep, one of the recruitment officers from this university said to me, 'Does Mr. Chidiak work here?' And she's like, 'Yeah, he works here.' She goes, I thought I saw his picture and his name out there, but I wasn't sure if it was the same Mr. Chidiak." And the guidance counselor's like, "Well, what's the connection?" She goes, "He taught me in grade 2. I didn't know he worked here now." And she's like, "Yeah, he works here now. Where did he teach you?" So the person says, "He taught me at this school, grade 2. He also taught my brother a year or two later." And she's telling me this, and I seriously, my heart warmed at that moment. I was like, because I remembered the kid, I remembered the family, nice kid. Like, I'm remembering this person for all the right reasons, right? Um, so then after I left my caseload meeting, I sent an email to that person. I'm like, "Yo, I just heard you were in the building. If I knew, I would have loved to come down and say hello. Good for you for doing the work you're doing. I'm so happy to see that you went to school, you got a job. Tell your family I say hello." And that's that. So there was a lot of going down memory lane this week, all because of all because of this. And this is good stuff too. This is really, man, I'm starting to see situations in my life where it's like, who am I right now? And what am I doing in this situation right now? And do I need
Mhm.
to be doing anything, or just that awareness? Just that awareness.
I find the book is doing a good job of, because I don't always, I will say I don't fully ascribe to sort of religious philosophical approach. Not 100%. But what it's doing a good job of is having me, as you say, it's giving me what I feel is something concrete to measure my own actions against. So instead of focusing on that's, I don't like that, I don't really appreciate, I don't vibe with how Jason, the author, Jason Wilson, how they're explaining it. Instead, and I think I mentioned this in like on the on ramp to the book club, is that it's giving me something very concrete to see myself with. So it's not about that necessarily, I'm not focusing on how much I disagree or don't connect with what he's saying. Instead, when something comes up in the book, I go, how do I actually feel about that? It's like I'm meeting a person and just listening to their opinions and not feeling compelled to share my opinion about what they say, but instead think inwardly about myself. How is my thinking different? How is my thinking the same? It's a weird kind of little mind game. And this is one of the first, a lot of the other books that we read, I automatically fell into alignment. I'm like, yep, yep, yep. And it's good because it feels good, but I also have to say that's confirmation bias. And when you get into confirmation bias, where you think you're only seeing the things in the world that you need to see that are all agreeing with you, all the head nods, I don't know. I You grow in one way. You just feel like I will use your words, like your heart swells. But I also like the moments where you can actually say, I don't believe I think that way, and here's why. And then you own the why. You own why you disagree about it, and then you grow in a different direction. And this is what this book is doing. I do get a sense with his writing that despite he's fairly equitable in his gendered thought, I do get the sense that from some of the writing that it's still a little bit of like there's some chauvinism there. There's still the belief that the man's the man, just a little bit. I feel it on the edges of his philosophy. So then I have to say, so then when I say that, I'm like, okay, I get it. There's guys all around me. So then I sort of take it in, and I mentioned this, I think, at the club. Like historically, I painted all friendships with males as in I had to measure that I start off by saying I don't like those really sporty kind of like bros. I say like they're doing something to keep me from being friends with them. Instead, I'm taking it back in and saying, well, how am I different than that? How am I not built that way? And can I be good with that? Can I be good with the way that I think and I feel and move through the world? And what I've found is by getting better with that, I actually find ways to be friends with bros. Like all of a sudden they're kind of accessible to me because I'm more confident in representing, whatever my emotional side or my wise side or my, like, my old man side. Like all these things that are a part of my identity now aren't left at the door. And I think that was the misplaced judgment that I put on some of the sort of like mindsets that are happening in this book. No, I can be in the dojo there. No, I can be in the sort of like going off the leagues. No, I can be in the sports conversations. I just choose what I'm going to interact with. Now, it changes if the book is intentionally, if I perceive those bro moments to be intentionally harmful, then I change. I change into a different person. I actually become, I start to mirror more and become more kind of aggressive to shut the thing down. So I almost embrace some of the bro tools to take down the bro when I don't like the behavior. And I can be that, right? But I like this book. I like how it's kind of, I noticed right away that this book, and I think the last one was actually that other author. What was the last one? The female author. I always forget the name of the book.
The female
How to be a man. How to be a man. No.
something about.
How,
I used to have it here. I don't see it.
yeah, but it was. I
About
think
being a man.
that be a man.
Something about being a man.
Yeah, I think that was the last one that I had the same process about. I started go no. I was like, no, but then I don't think I had the tools yet to sort of say, okay, the reason you're saying no is because you're not anchoring yourself in who you are.
Right.
You
Some of
need
the
to settle that shit down so that you can actually, it's the liberation factor. Like we were talking about, the getting work done, that sort of 2-minute rule.
some of the guys didn't like that book
They didn't.
because modern manhood.
Modern manhood.
They didn't like it because it was coming from a woman.
Hmm.
And
And
I
I actually, I don't know if I don't, that wasn't my issue. I think it was just, I felt like it was somebody telling me who I should be.
oh, that's
Right. Like,
interesting because
yeah,
normally I'm the ass. My wife will tell you who makes those judgments pretty quick, but I was actually like, what's the word I'm looking for? I was kind of in
amenable.
awe of just
Mm,
listening to or reading her position
mhm,
on modern manhood because I think it's important to gather um, information from a different perspective.
mhm,
For it's it's complicated for me because again, like I think I've said, I grew up in a house where there was something about the way my father operated that led me to believe that a man would be a certain way, that you act a certain way, men act a certain way.
mhm.
And,
The box.
the box, but my dad didn't always fit the box, so why did I guess there was some confusion. Um, Long story short, I've always been fascinated by comprehensive men. I've always been fascinated, but I never verbalized that, never understood that, oh my God, that guy can go from playing really high level hockey to singing in the choir at the school. And I'm like, I'm like fascinated. Whereas other guys might start saying negative things about that guy because of that being able to code switch. I'm like, I don't think I want to talk trash about this guy. I think I want to know what the secret is. How do you go from this to that? Um, so I've always been fascinated by this. I've always been those men have caught my attention because I believe there's a gift there that you're able to do different things well, or not even well, just to make attempts in different realms. We've been struggling with my youngest about this because last year when he was taking drama, some of the kids found out that he played competitive hockey, and they kind of gave him the gears about it. They're like, competitive hockey players don't do grade 9 drama. They're not interested in this type of art. Any
We
art.
get way too swept up in this idea that the artists are the victims. The artists can be the bros too. They can be the ones that are holding this closed mindset. Like, what is that? I remember, so my best man, Rui, my best man, Rui, um, he at university, he did a lot of shows in the drama department. But I remember his on ramp into there. He was a biology major who ultimately became like a biology professor. But there was some, like, he ended up pursuing science, but he also was a great actor and a great stage presence. But I can remember a couple of his first performances being in that artsy crowd, and they're like, there's that kid that's the scientist, right? Like somehow you can't be more. You can't be more. And we often do kind of go this other, I mean, the trope is that it's the hockey dude, or it's the big burly muscle dude that's squishing the little skinny dude's face in the sand. That's an old trope, right? It's not about the muscularity of it, it's about the mindset. And it can go both ways.
Mhm.
You can have that muscular mindset that locks you down, thinking that the other person just is not adequate. So I'm not surprised. I've mentioned before, like, I hated that happened to your kid, but I'm not surprised that flex was coming from the arts community. Like somehow a jock can't do drama,
Right.
and it's harmful. It's harmful, and it's not useful at all.
And we tried to explain it's okay. It's unfortunate that they're thinking this way, but your growth is ultimately the most important thing. At the end of the day, he decided he wasn't going to take drama again. He was also bothered that he felt as though his drama teacher was not giving him enough credit for the work he was doing in drama. So um, he was constantly like, well, today they needed volunteers for this and this, and when I put my hand up, they just ignored me. He's like, "Why
Mm,
do that? I'm as skilled as some the other kids," and
yeah,
da 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 da. And he was like, "I'm not doing this again. I'm not putting myself through wanting to perform, wanting to grow in this realm, and people saying, 'No, we've got other people for that.'" He's like, "What do you mean other people? This is a class. We're all here to learn." So, yeah, he's decided, nope, I don't put me in another course to guidance counselors. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I don't want to experience that. I'm like, well, you may not have experienced that, but it's your choice. Update on the Santa thing. So I've seen the student several times in the hallway. They've said hello to me or whatever, but they've not. I decided I wasn't going to chase it because I felt it felt kind of weird to be asking like a 16-year-old about a possible job. So I was like, I'm not going to chase it. If they come to me and they're like, hey, I talked to so and so, they need another Santa or whatever, I would have taken the information and maybe chased it a bit. But she's not said anything to me, so I've left it, which saddens me a little bit because I think I was excited. I was excited around the idea of it. So there's my Santa update. Um,
it's a great update.
mhm.
So ironically, so that picture that I posted up, I should put it up here. Do you have it? Do you have that image?
I
I
think
don't
I
know
can
if I
find it.
I don't know if I
Douglas,
have it.
is it Douglas MacArthur or is that's the general? General MacArthur. I keep
Yeah, it's
wanting to call
Douglas Aloysius McLaren. Great name, eh?
Aloysius. I want to say Aloysius, but it's not
You,
spelled Aloysius, right? It's Aloysius.
it's it's Aloysius or Aloysius. You can go either
Oh, okay.
way. I'm going Aloysius.
Gotcha.
Aloysius.
Let's see
Aloysius
if I
could
can
be as
find
well. It's funny you should say that though, because one of my acting partners, so the namesake, Ethan, um, that's the route he was going originally, Aloysius. Now he may keep doing it. I don't care. I just correct him. It's Douglas Aloysius McLaren.
it. Okay, I have it.
Um,
I have it. You want me to bring it up?
yeah, bring it up.
Okay, so
So,
You
So
posted this, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
loved every minute of it.
yeah. This is one of those where,
Did you
Chad,
create it?
well, Chad, me and
Oh,
Chad, right? So me and Chad put this together. My costume, I took a photo of my costume. So I do wear a plaid, Carhartt kind of. Well, you've seen the photos over, stained brown. I'm a corn farmer. So I don't know. I'm building it from stereotype. So I got the big chunky boots. I got the brown, slightly coffee colored overalls. I have this red zip up flannel jacket. I have the hunter's cap. I got myself my Tim Hortons mug and my work gloves. It's a great I will tell you. Just as a side note. There's been few times, and this is one where the costume locks me in. Like I walk in my Birkenstocks, and I'll go drop them in the back, and I'll go into the costume room and throw on the big boots and the jacket and the hat, and I instantly just kind of go in. I go from like light, kind of just how I walk through the world, quick step, to thunk, thunk, thunk. So this is the space that I'm rocking with this character, right? This image came out of me just sitting on the couch. I did a little bit of side eye photo. I didn't know if I was going to post just the photo up. I thought, you know what, let's put this into chat, because the character that I've become, and the fact that it's a leading up to Christmas play. It's the few days before Christmas. And there's the Christmas element to it. I mean, our show goes up late November, so that's when you start to see some of these Christmas plays come up. My character definitely, and even me sitting here looking at the picture of me, the picture in picture, like I'm approaching that stereotypical Santa status, at least the look. So I'm walking in the hall. I meet up with the caretaker the other morning, and I haven't seen him in ages. He says to me, he's like, dude, you have to do a side hustle for Santa. You can make some cash. And he starts to talk about his dad and his dad's brother, who used to have a contract. So his dad, I think he said his dad worked for a marketing company that used to put together the Sears catalogs. And his dad's brother lived down in Florida, the States or something. And he got him a contract to be the Santa for the Sears catalog because of his look. So he would like fly up and do the photo shoots and then leave. And all of this is sort of wrapped around the fact that the dude that I'm talking to, that if he decided to grow out the beard, he'd look way better than me as Santa. Very similar, got the glasses, all kind of white hair. And the dude's name is actually Doug. Like it's just a circle of a story that I'm walking away from it. And I haven't seen Doug in I hadn't seen him actually for any of the startup. He sometimes caretakers on our board get rotated out between elementary and secondary, and I think he was rotated out, and now he's come back. But I really appreciate him. There's Baba Claus. There we go. I appreciate Doug because he is someone that when he pops in and out of my world, when I see him at school, like he's throwing down reality. Like you just feel like it's just always a really great conversation. And other things kind of disappear. Like we know we're standing talking in the hallway, but that extra kind of fades away, and it's just like two dudes having a great conversation.
So you definitely have the Santa look. Like if you wanted to be Santa, it wouldn't be a stretch with the beard
I
and
don't
your
think so.
acting prowess. Like it wouldn't be a stretch. But I don't think I don't think you're interested in being a mall Santa. I mean,
I
it'd
don't
be
think
kind
so. I would want to do it differently. I
of
don't know. The likelihood would be more be one of the theater places if they were like the community theaters are like, okay, we need someone just to kind of be at our community event that looks like Santa. Who could do it?
Clough.
Text Clough, see if he's growing his beard out. Because this takes, I don't know for you, but for me to be in this shape, this is like 9 months.
Oh,
It's about 9 months, maybe 8 months. Like just to, because I think I trimmed it because I had it for Noises Off, right? I did. I had it for Noises Off. I used it for that character, and that closed at the end of June. So I did I did at the end of that run. I shaved it just down to like tight shape, like how you were showing in the picture. So really, maybe not. Maybe 6 months. I could get back to this. Anyone who's doing it professionally definitely has their timing. They like shave their face on New Year's Day and then they don't shave again. They don't shave again, right? Just so that they can get enough length on it.
Right. So all that to say, the image you posted, I love the image you posted. I think you should get a t-shirt created. And I was like, okay, let's put AI to the test. Can they take my face and turn me into Douglas Aloysius? So this is awesome because you're gonna say Aloysius one way and I'm gonna say it the other, and that's what's gonna differentiate us, right?
Yeah.
Here I am. This is the Lebanese version. This is Douglas Aloysius McLaren,
Mhm.
Roland, and I effing love this. I love this picture. I love your
I'm gonna take mine and I'm probably gonna print some cards. So
oh
I'll put it on like the cast cards. Just you know, when I write up, you always, well, I don't always, but I think that's probably what I'll do with that picture. I'll get some card stock from Amazon or something, and I'll print out some cards to give to the cast.
I love it.
Hmm.
We've hit the over the time that you wanted so that you could go do your dad duties.
I want to drop one more thing in. It's something that I've been loving this week because my week was kind of busy this week, and I didn't quite get enough. I really like lesson design. I really like lesson design, and trying to keep. I often use my colleagues' lesson design as a reminder of what I never want to do, and I'm trying not to make that too cheeky, but in my years of teaching, I'm finding for every good lesson, resource, activity, learning moment, for every one that I notice that I like, I see 20 that I'm just like, that's bad design. It's just, it doesn't follow developmental psychology. It doesn't follow, and it's sometimes it's dated. Like it's just not. I see an activity, I kind of go do an on call and I see the way something's organized on a page. I'm like, there was no thought that really went into the design of this. They didn't consider the font. They didn't consider the kerning. They didn't like, there's so many elements that when you're designing learning opportunities for kids, it's not about mimicking reality. It's about designing things that allow the kids' reality to come out. And you can't do that just by like teaching a kid to read a newspaper. Sure, you can have a newspaper, go ahead, but that would be end goal. Before you actually get to reading the newspaper, let's do the componentry, right? We do this. Let's do the componentry and let's start filling in the map for you so that when I give you the actual practical prop, you know exactly how to decode it. So with that in mind, I like to constantly design and adjust and research and what's a better way to do this. And this week I didn't get to do much of that. So the last couple of days, I've been consulting with chat and just talking about what I want the next unit to look like. And even this morning, and I really probably if you're to listen in, you'd be like, man, that guy thinks he's talking to a human. But I will tell you, because I'm like, I say thank you. I say, okay, that's enough for now. I'll check back in with you later. And the voice is like, all right, this was a great session. I'll talk to you later. And I don't need it to be a human. I'm not craving for it to be a human. So I don't want to go too far down that. Like I'm not sort of I'm entirely looking through the fourth wall. I'm aware that I'm talking to a computer and a program. I understand the complexity of the algorithm and how complex it needs to be to have a conversation with me that isn't just prompt based. It's actually fluid, right? But to be able to just have the conversation, and part of it is I constantly get pissed off with Siri. I get pissed off with how limited Siri feels. Siri's just a verbal chat bot, right? I know that in the newer phones, Siri now integrated with AI is different, but my phone doesn't have that. I have the iPhone 13, so it doesn't have that techie kind of integration. So Siri is still just a call and response kind of a thing. I don't feel like it's thinking at all. So I can see Rochelle in the chat. I do it too. Copilot. If you're using Gemini, I do it absolutely, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. But what I really appreciated was that for me, this, we do audio, we do a lot of conversation, and I appreciate that I can talk to chat in a way that feels like conversation. So just to tell them, I want to do this. Here's my idea. I can totally do an elevator pitch, and then chat will come back and say, okay, well, what about this? I'm like, yeah, include that in there. And I know it's being documented. So you also have the transcript that I can go back to and I can sort of extract what I need. So even this morning, I finalized what the next unit's going to look like. And it was wonderful, because I know now what would have taken me on my own, if collaboration is actually one of the key components of learning. I do believe I've found a way to collaborate with these things, with these tools. I'm starting to really understand my prompting now. I don't have to type it in. I find that my actual conversational prompting is starting to match what I could only do before with typing it in. I don't know if you've noticed this too. The way that you actually talk to it to control the narrative, to put the fence lines, to say only respond according to this, only use these resources. You narrow the field so it's more correct than just confident. You're trying to reduce the possibility of it sort of like floating away or hallucinating. I really like that. I like that I'm getting better at those skills, because this morning getting coffee, grabbing grabbing gas and getting out with my dog and going for groceries, round trip, that probably took me 40-45 minutes. Half of it was spent, so 20 minutes. I now have the framework for my next unit. I can now start to build my lessons and grab my resources. That type of planning for a whole unit, and to be able to see it from beginning to end with assessments. I also have my assessments in there. I know exactly what I can do for assessment. That's multi-hour work, even more multi-hour work if you're working on paper in the past. But I knocked that out in about 20 minutes. Intermittently too, because I'm in and out of the car. So I get back in the car, I'm like, chat, just tell me again what we were just talking about when we got out of the car. Chat gives me a summary. I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's keep going. Come on, right? Come on. Love it. Just want to end on that. Well, we can end it, move on. We can go about our day, but that was the one thing that I was just like, I'm loving this right now. Loving it. And I've started to play with Copilot and Gemini, but my flavor still is chat. And I pay for the upgraded version. So be nice if that came down in price, but I pay.
I think it's fantastic, and I think this is a great example of how it can be used for positive, right?
Mhm.
Like, this is benefiting you, it's benefiting your students, it's benefiting your craft. Talking about it this way is showing people, telling people how this can be used for good, right? And I mean, I showed an example of fun. Man, I think it's fantastic. I literally took your picture, gave it mine, and said, now combine these. And it did a fantastic job. And
Mhm.
that's just technology, right? There's no human behind that. I'm moved by it. I think
Mhm.
it's
Well
fantastic
said.
that we can
Well
do
said.
these things. Like, this is pretty cool. So this is it. This is what it's about. This is what it should be about. Yeah, of course, it's being used for different things and nefarious purposes and stuff. We can't stop people from doing that. But man, it can do a lot of good. It can bring a lot of
Mhm.
joy. It can bring a lot of positive. You're multitasking, you're doing your thing, you're living your life, and yet you're getting work done. When I mean work, I mean the stuff that you need to do in class with your kids. And you're organized so you feel good. Like, man, this is the good. This is the good.
I just liberated myself. So when we were talking about that 2-minute thing, get it done. I want to be, I, I don't want to crave the weekend freedom. I want to operate in a way that I'm so skilled that I constantly have the choice to have freedom. Like that's where I'm trying to get to. And I find
Yes.
digital tools have always given me a glimpse of that. AI, I think, has actualized it. So this isn't for everybody. And that's the other thing I'll say. You and I have been talking digital tools for well over a decade, well over. We both have been fascinated about them past. We've each had our own kind of flavor that we looked at. I think we have definitely found common ground with AI. So this isn't something that, back in the day, I said often you and I land in these spots that one of us would have done some sort of a PD session on. Like talk to the staff. I've done all my lesson labs with staff. You've done your Twitter, sort of use of Twitter stuff in the past, and you work with Google. But I will say that the things that I've learned would not take someone years to learn. If I sort of ran a lesson lab now for teachers, I could get people up and running on this kind of stuff, within a few lessons, like just here, start doing this stuff. So it's cool. And I can see, Rochelle throwing down the 100%. So let's see. I'll assume that was an agreement to something that we've talked about AI over this chat.
Awesome.
Thumbs up moment.
Thumbs up moment. So are we good to shut down?
Brother, we're good. Let's go about our Saturday.
Okay, what I wanted this to be was season 9, episode 9, 359. But what it was for today. Oh, Rochelle's saying AI is a topic on our November 17th PD day. Awesome. I hope that Rochelle.
I want to know. I please, Rochelle. No, I want to. Can you drop Rochelle? Can you? I'll just say this. You don't have to admit it here. Here's my request, Rochelle. You don't have to be on record for this. Rochelle, I would like to know. I would like to know the flow of that conversation. I would like to know the topics. It's a lot. I'd like to know the staff reaction so much. And I would love to know what resources we're sort of chatted about. So I would love to know. Back in the day, we would have just been Twitter friends. We would have sort of been, what I'm asking was the exact reason why I started to use Twitter in the first place. Because something happened in the staff meeting. I thought, you know what? I bet you someone else has gone through this. So our board is kind of deep into this at this point. We really pivoted this last school year, tail end of last year. And my school's a one-to-one school. So what that means is the students are expected to bring a laptop, all students. So it's encouraging teachers to do digital design. We do still have both, if paper's needed, but it is a school that encourages digital design. So Rochelle, please report back. You go out into the field. You can be our correspondent. Field, there we go. New position with the Dakota podcast. Rochelle's our ad hoc field correspondent.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. This was season 9, episode 9, 357. Have a good weekend, man.
You too, man. Peace. Have a good one, Gary Rochelle.